We are back on Get Up and Graziano. It is time we hop aboard the coaching carousel and see where things stand.
Here we go.
Let's begin in Green Bay. What is going on with Matt LaFleur?
Has 1 year left on his contract. They're discussing an extension. I think the belief is that they'll get to one, but until they do, obviously there are going to be questions around this situation. Another disappointing end to the season. Packers have a new team president, Ed Policy, who took over from Mark Murphy. So, we don't know how he's going to operate. But as of now, the plan is to talk to Matt LaFleur and his representatives about a contract extension, and both sides hope they can find agreement on one.
Enormous amount of criticism for the way he coached the second half with a big lead against Chicago the other day. What are your thoughts on what might be? It probably wouldn't be sold as a firing if it doesn't go the way they want it to go, but it kind of would have
firing.
that.
It's a firing.
Okay, a firing.
Sugarcoat it if you want to.
Fell short. What do you think?
I don't love it as a decision because I think what they've done so far has been pretty successful to be able to have MVP level career or seasons for Aaron Rodgers transition to another quarterback. I think that last game, it's abysmal. But you can look at this season, and if we're going to talk about teams that have been decimated by injuries, I understand the 49ers have, and they've succeeded, but that's a reasonable explanation for what happened to this team. Their offense was playing well. The quarterback played awesome in that game, which is why Matt LaFleur is there.
Agreed.
Funny thing is, we're all talking about, while I don't agree, everyone's looking for a quarterback whispering coach. Feels like the Green Bay Packers got one. Moving on from him, I think there are adjustments that you can make to his staff to help him manage games.
Agreed.
But I don't think that you need to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah. I think that was my take on it. When you watch that game, because I think the injury thing for Green Bay, I don't really believe in because you were up so much in that game. So, yes, the latter part of the season, they didn't win a game since Micah Parsons got hurt. Yes, you can bring that up for that argument. But at the same time, when you're watching that game and they're up 21-6 in the fourth quarter, you cannot lose that game. So the last part you said that you possibly bring somebody in on that staff to help LaFleur so he can focus on the offense and figuring out how to score 40 points if they're going to allow you to do so.
Yeah, I think my biggest indictment on LaFleur, and I think this will be if you bring someone else in, or even an OC who's going to be a play call, whatever decisions you end up making, when you look at the last two losses against the Bears, those are indictments, right? You got both those games clearly in hand. Division opponent, you got these wins, you don't make them happen. Hey, 38 plays. 31 passes. And you got that lead that they have, and you end up losing. That comes back to bite you.
He would become a very interesting candidate for a lot of other places.
Oh, for sure. You saw the record there, 76-40. There's not a lot of people out there with that resume.
Let me go to the next one quickly because I want to make sure we have time for Harbaugh. But Mike McDaniel is a name that is worth bringing up here.
He's going to be a hot offensive coordinator candidate a lot of places, but he's also got some head coach possibilities. Cleveland's going to talk to him about their head coach job. They're looking for an offensive guy to pair with Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator, who they want to keep and who they like a lot. So Mike McDaniel will he'll be a guy a lot of teams want to talk to, whether it's for offensive coordinator or even potentially bouncing into another head coach job.
Jeff, why are you shaking your
I
head?
don't love the Cleveland. If you're Schwartz, why would you want to stay? You should get the head job. This dude couldn't do any more with the same organization. You're going to bring somebody else in to take my gig? I would love him. I would love him being an OC in different places. I think he's a fantastic offensive coach.
Philadelphia is where you want
Philly's where.
Philly
is where I want him.
Let's
go, Eagles.
There's some good openings.
Philly's
not open, but
for offensive coordinator.
Right.
All right, let's get to the last one because that's the big name in all this. How about Jim Harbaugh?
John Harbaugh.
Oh, excuse me, John
Jim,
Harbaugh.
I think is good. John, he basically, here's what's going on with John Harbaugh. Last week, he had sort of informal introductory conversations with general managers for 5 different teams that have openings. I'm talking about the Giants, the Titans, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Browns. And then yesterday he had one with the Falcons, who, as of last week, didn't have a GM, and Matt Ryan didn't get his job till Saturday, so he couldn't do that conversation. Now, the Falcons announced it as an interview, but my understanding is it was no different than the contact he's had with those other 5 teams. The expectation is that John Harbaugh will start doing face-to-face interviews with the teams that he's interested in later this week, early next week. That's the time frame that we are looking at. I would expect the Giants the Falcons and the Titans to be 3 places that are appealing to him for various reasons. And if something happened and Green Bay did make a change with Matt LaFleur, I think that might be the leading candidate to land John Harbaugh, at least, in terms of what he would desire.
Would that be the best job? Would Green Bay become the best job available if it came open?
Absolutely.
It would.
Yeah, Micah Parsons coming off an injury. You got Jordan Love, your offensive lineman who's been banged up. They're going to get healthy. Wyatt will come back on the defense. Absolutely, it'd be the best job. I think. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. If that one came up, that would be one. Yeah, if not, I like where the Falcons are.
The only knock against that job is something that I think doesn't really intimidate too many coaches is like that division is tough. Like, you're going to have a fight every year in that division. And the expectations, I think, for that organization are pretty high. And the other thing is with John Harbaugh is like he has the cachet to choose the staff on the other side, like the GM and stuff. So what Gutekunst has done there in Green Bay has been so impressive that I don't think that he would move. So, like, if you're going there, you have to be aligned with that. And John Harbaugh comes from the Ravens where they had strong front office staff that he could be aligned with.
And I'm kind of interested even in the teams you named, the Titans, you said the Falcons, and the Giants. So even as you look at those teams, I'm interested in a team like the Titans and the Giants, where there are teams that they have quarterbacks that are young players, will be going into their second year. And if you're John Harbaugh and you see the upside in a Cam Ward with a ton of cap space and this very young team, or the same with Jackson Dart, you can mold this team exactly in your image and the way you see it to build them up. So to me, that's the fascinating thing within all of this. Yes, the Green Bay. What were you going to say?
Spoken like a true Titan.
Titan.
Oh, yeah.
John, go ahead, go to Nashville.
Dan, is the feeling that a lot of these dominoes won't start falling until we get the biggest one, right? A lot of these teams that are holding on for Harbaugh, maybe until he makes some sort of decision, everyone else, or at least some of them.
Yeah, but there might be a team or two that finds out they're not in on Harbaugh. Like, let's say you're the Raiders and you want Harbaugh, and he likes the idea of like Fernando Mendoza or whatever. But maybe he doesn't want to coach against his brother twice a year.
Right.
Like, you may just not be in a situation where you can get him. And if you find that out, then maybe you move on. But yes, if you're a team that thinks you can get John Harbaugh, I think you're going to wait till he tells you no before making a hire.
That is tough.
So it might hold everything up a little bit, is what I'm trying to say. If he's taking interviews later this week into next week, Sunday. Meanwhile, the Eagles won't play anyone again until next year. Their season came to an end Sunday in a lackluster showing against San Francisco. Yesterday, Jalen Hurts was asked about his much-maligned offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo and his top target A.J. Brown, and these are the things he did and did not say.
You do have the opportunity to have that with Kevin Patullo. Do you want him to come back as the offensive coordinator?
It's too soon to think about that. And like I said, I put my trust in Howie, Nick, and Mr. Leary.
What about A.J. Brown? Would you like A.J.?
A.J. and I have talked. We're in a great place.
Last one.
Maybe y'all can talk to him and ask.
Okay, so what should we read into what he did and didn't say?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty clear that it reminds us all of like how Lamar handled the conversation a week ago.
Yeah, we know what happened there.
Yeah, it seems pretty clear that he's not defending. He's not jumping on the table to defend his coach. And it also seemed pretty obvious that A.J. Brown and the Eagles are going to go their separate ways. So it's going to look different there in the Eagles building. But, I mean, I know Graz has pointed out this path that they followed time and time again.
Oh, with the coordinators.
Yeah.
Right. But hiring an offensive coordinator, and then he gets a head coach job, so you promote from within, and then that doesn't work, so you hire. Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's the pattern. On A.J. Brown, it'll be interesting. I mean, trading him, they would take on a $43 million dead money hit. That's obviously not nothing. But depends what you get back. It might be worth it, especially if he doesn't want to be there, which we don't know. To Jalen's point, he hasn't come out and said anything like that. But yeah, I think the Eagles aren't afraid to make changes. Like that's the thing. Like they're not going to wait for it to get super duper bad before they start making changes. So I think if you're Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator, you're not feeling super comfortable.
Okay, so you're an analyst. I'm, at the end of the day, just a football fan. It seems to me they have far too many good players to be this bad. So if I'm just doing a mathematical equation, that equals the problem is coaching. Am I getting something wrong? Am I putting some of the wrong variables into the equation and coming up with
No,
it?
I mean, I think it's definitely the offensive coordinator. I think there's a lot of blame that could go around, right? You could put a lot on injuries on the offensive line, poor play outside, quarterback
Give me more
play.
on poor play outside.
Like drops.
Catch the ball.
Catch the ball, right?
Catch
You
the ball.
complain, you want to do it, catch the ball, right? Like whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, we'll watch them right here. I mean, this, you got to make these plays, right? When you have opportunities like this, it hits you in the hands. You got to have them. If if you've asked for the ball multiple times, like at some point, separate, make catches. There's a third down, the same thing happens. Smith has one later on. Just too much of this goes on. But again, I think the biggest indictment for me is there was no identity in this offense. Not enough Jalen Hurts runs, which to me just led to more problems. There's no real rhythm on the offense.
Maybe I'm being unfair, but I still think like the drops and things like that from great players, they're going to happen. But the reason why, and it sucks when it happens, but the reason why it still kind of, to me, falls on coaching is they were passive all game. Yeah. And it feels like all season they were passive. And we were making the argument the whole season, like the reason why you can't win like that being passive, because there is going to come a game where the ball doesn't bounce your way. They're going to be drop passes. When they were up by 1, it seemed like they were just trying to milk the clock in the third quarter. And that was the problem to me. And ultimately, you can certainly blame AJ for not catching the ball when he had opportunities, but this has been an ongoing problem all season long. Maybe they aren't as good as we thought they were, which seems odd coming off a Super Bowl, but at no point this season did they show us that they are as good as we've been talking about them.
Yeah, and there just seemed to be no rhythm to the offense all season long. From the very beginning, when we've sat on these shows and we've criticized it and we've talked about it for the week when they beat the Buffalo Bills, and Sirianni came out and said he needed to be more involved in the offense. And that's the product we got when we watched him play against the 49ers. I do think this also speaks to how hard it is to get to the Super Bowl every single season. The pattern that you're talking about, a team winning the Super Bowl or getting to the Super Bowl and not able to get back. Then you have that burn of not getting there, and then you see a different team that next year. It takes a different type of focus and accountability as well. We heard Jason Kelce come out and defend Kevin Patullo and call out the players and say, you guys need to step up. Agreed. We're talking about drops. There were plays within that game where there were good play calls. They're taking a shot down the field. And between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, they don't make the connection down the field. Throughout the course of a game, when you play the style they play, similar to what we talked about the Houston Texans, when you have a dominant defense, you want to run the football, and you want to make sure you're not turning the ball over. When you dial up a shot and you have the opportunity and the defense gives you what you were anticipating, you got to make those plays. They're not an offense that puts up 40 points a game. That's who they are as a football team. It is what it is. They had an identity. Play good defense, don't turn the football over, and your primetime players that you're paying a lot of money to, step up and make the play when your number's called. They didn't do that in that game. The 49ers did. McCaffrey, Shanahan making plays, and those guys going out there executing.
The problem is, like, the coach's job, in my mind, the main job of the coach is problem solver, right? So, like, but the problem the Eagles had is they pretended there weren't problems.